I'm here on location in Fiji, and I want to talk about the biggest mistakes I've made as a solo traveler.
I decided to reorder a couple things, so there's going to be some continuity issues. So just bear with me. White clothing. It's not so much the fact that it's going to show every spill or smudge, or the fact that it doesn't actually flatter me, because both of those things are true, but it's also that it makes laundry much more difficult. Like, I can't just throw this in with my other clothing that I wash. The next one's a real big one, and that is trying to cram too much in. And I'm super guilty of this. In the past, it's been because I just wanted to make the most of my time away, but that didn't work out because I was exhausted the whole time. It's been nearly 2 months since I've been traveling across the US and Canada, and I'm pretty tired, and it's impacted my productivity. So that's not ideal. If you are not working, then you have a ton more flexibility. If it's like a, you know what I mean? Like if it's a proper vacation, then it does mean having to prioritize rest and sleep so that you can achieve those.
Not paying attention to time shifts. And by time shifts, I don't just mean time zones. I mean, if you cross the international date line, it can really throw off your schedule. It's a great problem to have. But basically, I thought I was going to be spending 36 hours in Fiji, and actually, it's more like 12. It's fine. Related to that, I think I have really regretted not planning my layovers better, especially this one and in the past. Specifically, this one, I spent ages trying to find a hotel that was close enough to the airport and had decent enough reviews. Unfortunately, I didn't read the part where the checkout time was 10 a.m. So I got here around 7 a.m. and my room was freezing cold. I couldn't sleep. Related to that one is always read reviews from more than one source. So actually, this hotel is fine. A couple weeks ago, I booked a hotel through Expedia, and it had rave reviews. Only on my way to this hotel, I read the Google reviews, and it's not good. I just had my guard up at that point, so I actually asked the Uber driver if he can wait there because there was seemed like there might have been a problem around paying in cash. That part was fine, but honestly, the whole place gave me the creeps. I did stay the night, but it was a really poor value, and I actually was meant to stay there on the way back. I ended up canceling it. The lesson here is read reviews from more than one source.
Greetings from Sydney. I could be anywhere in the world right now. Look, it's McDonald's and KFC. I'd love to hear about your solo travel experiences. If you have any thoughts or comments, please drop those in the comments below. The next one's a real big one. It's not prioritizing rest. One of my first solo trips in Europe was to Tallinn in Estonia, and it was right after a conference where I was volunteering at, and there was a lot of after hours socializing. Not only was I getting back to my room late every night, I was also getting up early and I was peopling all day long. And let me tell you, I was so exhausted. This was long before I knew about ADHD and autism in the way I do now. By the time I got to Tallinn, I had come down with something and I couldn't leave my room for 2 whole days pretty much. It was awful. I, had plans to do a walking tour of the city and hopefully meet some other travelers. Yeah, no, none of that happened. So yeah, do have some regrets about not slowing down and taking some time, having an early night. Next is having a reset of my luggage. And what I mean by that is taking the time to reorganize everything. At the start of a trip, everything has its place. I put everything where it needs to go, and that's fine. But over time, when I get in a rush, things get shifted around and things aren't where I thought they might be. And it can impact my stress levels. Well, it does impact my stress levels and just my overall productivity. It ends up taking more time. So I know that a better strategy would be to take the time to just reorganize everything and maybe once a week if I'm moving around a lot. If in an ideal situation, I'm unpacking and I'm in one location for like a month, but we're not there yet.
The next one is I think I've made a mistake by not streamlining my tech. I have a ton of cords, and honestly, it's hard to tell them apart. So I know that I could probably do something like colored tape or, somehow identify them a little bit better. I've seen these really compact ones where it's like the charging case has the cords integrated, and I that does sound really good because, it's like fewer individual pieces to lose.
The next one is about re educating myself about how streaming services work. In my downtime, I do like to watch Netflix or whatever I can get my hands on when I'm traveling. And I make use of VPN, of course. I recommend NordVPN. I'll put a link in the description. A couple times now, I thought I could just add a profile to the television where I was at, and it ended up triggering something to say that this TV is not part of this home's network or something like that. So I may have messed up some other people's Netflix accounts. I know that Netflix has cracked down on sharing accounts, and so me doing that has probably caused the homeowner a little bit of hassle because they have to then decide how they're going to deal with that. If I feel a little bit bad, so I'm definitely not going to be adding any more new profiles to televisions. I'm also cycling through streaming services. Like, I don't want to pay for all of them at once. It's just not good use of my budget, especially when I actually don't spend a lot of time watching television.
My next mistake is a bit of a silly one, but I think it's worth mentioning. I regret having tea nearby, like, I mean, mugs of tea. I've had two incidents lately in the last 2 weeks where something's fallen in my tea that shouldn't have. One was a magnetic eyelash, and the tea was so hot. You know how, well, maybe you don't know this, but the eyelashes have a curve to them so that they fit on your eye, and the heat removed all the curl. So basically, I can't use it now. And then the other incident, which is even more expensive, is I dropped my wireless receiver for my Anchor microphone in there. So I huge fan of Anchor products. They're my go-to for the power banks. And I've also really enjoyed using the wireless microphone. So sometimes you see it in my videos where it's hooked on. And unfortunately, the receiver fell in the tea. I pulled it out straight away, but then I put it aside and I was like, oh, it's still on. So I'm like, that's weird. So I shook it and I'm like to see if there's liquid inside. Oh, there was. So it's like, oh no. So I don't know if it's survived or not. I let it dry out overnight. We'll see. I'll have an update.
By the way, the wireless receiver did not survive. I'm really sorry to say. So we're back to using the one ear pod. Me shaking it was, I knew immediately it was the wrong decision. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and hit the like button. In my next video, I'm going to talk about planning a solo trip if you're neurodivergent, everything from planning a sensible itinerary to managing your sensory needs. Bye for now.